Good.
Yeah,
We
go
we
ahead.
just we just start. I mean, we will implement Service Desk in the next few days, so we're excited about that.
All right. That's a nice big undertaking, and once it's up and running, it's a pretty cool thing to have. A lot of
Yeah,
information's coming your way. That's cool.
yeah.
Moses, you had another one?
Yes, so we went through a challenge of workers, or more like office staff, and we actually I went overseas and I outsourced some CSRs.
Mhm.
So I am in a way I'm hiring direct, but from the Philippines, and that's been an interesting journey for good and for
Cool.
bad, but it's been interesting.
Love that. Love that. I see another one in here. Insurance. It's insurance renewal time, maybe. Okay. Anything
Um,
else?
one more.
Yeah.
I just I'm looking at pushing out our we call them like memberships or service agreements where like all the appliances in the home would be covered and it'd be like free parts and labor. And so I just want to see how the market will respond to it and what we're
Mhm.
offering. And
Full coverage plans. Nice. All right. Anything else before we prioritize and hit one of these puppies? All right. So why don't you throw it in the chat or just kind of speak, just chime in. So we got slow season, dealing with slow season, training and hiring, pricing structure. It's time to maybe evaluate your P&L from last year, and it's time to raise your rates. Implementing service desk. Bet you we have some service desk customers in here. Outsourcing CSRs and the good and the bad with that. Insurance rates and service agreements. Throw it in the chat. Speak up, raise your hand. Which one you guys want to talk about first? We got a slow season.
Can we start with pricing structure?
Pricing structure. Okay. Let's knock them out in order. All right, all right, let's do that. Pricing structure and slow season are near the top of the list. Um, anyone want to start with the comment? Is your slow season, is this the worst it's ever been, or is it typical? How many people have typical, this is their typical slow season, nothing trending differently? And those that it might be worse for, please let me know what you're currently experiencing.
Anthony just said that the insurance is killing us out here in Cali. Um, I'm in California too. I don't really feel it in this way. Like, where are you coming from, Anthony? Where, how do you know it's the insurance that is killing us, not just the
Yeah,
slow season?
Long Beach, Long Beach. So we can grab on insurance here. So is that something we're experiencing across the country? Insurance rates getting kind of high? Does it sound like Anthony needs to shop around maybe? Or is this a California thing?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Doug, is that we've gone through and just continually worked with our insurance agent, our insurance vendors to shop. I mean, I think we just got an $8,000 reduction in our workman's comp insurance for the year.
Nice.
Just by saying like, hey, this isn't, we're not like, we don't accept this. Like it's consistently and steadily gone up. And so we really need to focus on, maybe another option. And just by opening that conversation, I mean, it saved us, $8,000 in a year. So, that's a big one for us. We just went through and got new health insurance and kind of did the same thing, but didn't sacrifice quality. Just got better rates and helped everybody individually. So I think that's something that you just have to continually work with. And if your insurance agent is not willing to shop around, or if they're a dedicated agent for one agency, then it's probably best to go and find a broker or find somebody that that's in your corner.
Great advice, Eric. Sometimes increases are just a reality. What are you guys doing? Are you guys, is that one of your line items in your P&L that have caused you to raise your rates to your customers? Are you passing this cost on to your customers?
I wonder if anybody has even identified in reviewing their P&Ls of any expense that's jumping off the page. Like, hey, look at this percentage. And I would submit that the insurance is one of the highest. But when you say insurance, we're talking about general liability, workman's comp, automobile, and those and major medical. Those I can assure you, for me, have gone completely berserk. And it is killing us. In fact, if you have an outside fiduciary that you're working with, your accountant that looks at your P&L, or if you're in a peer group, show them your P&L. And an outsider will go, what's jumping off this page screaming, I need attention. And I can assure you it's insurance, because in my case, it absolutely was. I just had to go through sort of I don't know, it feels last minute to me, because the end of the close, but for example, major medical ends December 31 for us, as it does for, I think, for most people. Some people don't even understand that the policy might cycle non-calendar year, but your deductibles do. So that was, as many years as I've been in business, I had no idea that the deductible went. So I had hit my out of pocket at Halloween. So I'm talking to the new broker, and he's like, dude, you got 2 months. Go nuts. See every doctor you need to see now, because it's not going to cost you a nickel. But anyway, to Eric's point, when we shopped it out, we wound up with a $16,000 reduction because we pressed it, and we'd been with the broker for a long time who should have been taking care of it. And I think the fact of the matter is that they know we kind of get lazy when it comes to insurance plans, major medical, automotive, right down the line, and we don't really bid it out every year. And I think we really should be in the habit of bidding it out every year, looking at alternatives. Even if you stay with the same people, if they know you're looking, they're going to pay a little bit closer attention to you. I actually had to tell the one broker I'm working with, it's like, maybe we don't fit your business model. But, maybe you want the bigger outfits, or we just don't. Oh, no. Then they try to walk that back, because in some ways, yeah, we don't fit their model. We're an odd type of business, an odd industry that very few even understand. So yeah, we really don't fit their model in many respects. But just by being asleep at the wheel, I'm telling you, everybody, if you take a look at your P&L, you are going to see that insurance line, and you're going to go, oh my God, how did I miss that?
Yeah, certainly. Bobby's mentioning it as well. I mean, it's a simple filter in your P&L statement that you can previous comparison to previous year with percentage change, and you can see what line items pop out at you. And then the question is what are you gonna do with those line items that pop out? Every year it seems we're gonna make sure that our net profit margin isn't getting eaten away because the world around us is getting more expensive, and we're afraid and we think that we're capped out. Oh my gosh, I can't raise my rates another penny or we're going to go out of business. The reality is we don't have the money and the capital to survive eating that. So we have to continue to always check our rates and raise them. Do you guys feel like you're capped out on your market and your pricing, and or what are you guys doing with these increased P&L lines that seem to, it's a pass-through cost, right, James? What are you guys doing, Todd? Are you guys reflecting on those line items, and how does that affect your pricing structure?
We're just waiting for Eric to raise prices so we can raise
Oh.
them again.
Interesting. Interesting. I got it. So that little competitiveness there. Gotcha.
No, I mean it everything is crazy expensive. You can't react fast enough. Seasonality has increased this year, I'd say even over last year. And we all got used to not having seasons during COVID. Like it's a challenging time to run a business.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I chime in real quick?
Absolutely, Anthony.
This is Anthony. I'm 7 a.m. ready, so I'm not ready to be on the camera here.
You're the man. You're the man. You're probably a
Um,
bald guy that doesn't have to do anything with his hair, but go ahead anyway.
right. So, one of the challenges I think about is like, yeah, I would love to raise the rates, but it is so slow that we don't want to scare people off with increased rates. I feel like our service fee is like modest, nothing outrageous, but we get price shoppers and they say, oh, that much, I'm gonna call, Jim Bob down the street for $75 service fee. And so we are a little apprehensive about raising rates, even though I feel like we need to, because again, our insurance, our general liability, again in California, and it's 15 grand. Our auto rates for this year is coming up at 30 grand, and this is only like 3 vehicles, so it's not like anything crazy.
Real. Yeah.
And it's absurd. And yeah, we got a new bookkeeper, and she's looking at our P&L like, what is going on with this insurance rates? And she thinks it's crazy, and it is, but part of the thing is, I feel like a couple years ago the general liability transitioned to where they're basing it off of your payroll, which seems crazy to me. And I don't know about everybody else, but out in California, I feel like stuck. Like we can't shop. We have tried to shop, and everybody's telling us the same thing. It's like $1 million to get insured, or sorry, no insurance.
So what's your plan, Anthony? You feel like you're a little apprehensive about raising your rates because you don't want to lose call volume. And it looks like you've done your due diligence on your insurance rates. What's your current plan just to get
Well,
through this?
currently, I'm just crying to you guys and
Fair
hoping and
enough.
praying for some answers here, man. Now,
Well,
I'm hoping the slow season will turn here with the weather, and we've been a little negligent on our SEO, on our socials, and marketing, because I felt like we just get business from nowhere, and now it seems like that's not the case. So, we're gonna focus more on that stuff too.
yeah. Well, I'll kind of share a quick parallel story that kind of relates. We want to grow our team. One of the goals was to grow our team by 7 techs. The guy in charge, me, what freaks me out the most is our slow season. So if you have technicians and we don't have work, like when I was a tech on the road, I love slow season. I had more dinners at home with my family. That was cool. And then the summer, I didn't see them as much. But the reality is now that I run the show, that's my heartburn moment is the greatest, January to April, hoping that I have enough work and that I'm paying my technicians well enough in the slow season. So check it out. This year, for at least a year, we've been listening and watching all of you crazy people who have been collecting your service fee up front before going out. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do that because when the slow season comes, I would hate to lose 5 to 10 to 20 calls a day that I could have got because I don't want to scare people off. But I remembered that every single time we've want to raise our rates, I freak out. And every single time I raise my rates, I don't feel it on the radar. People still book. People still have us come out. So I was like, let me step into the raging waters. And we implemented this in the beginning of March. David will leave out of New York. He's a badass. He doesn't smile much, but he's just a confident dude. He just said, just do it. I did it. And guess what? March, more calls than we had in the previous March. So I'm just saying, we might not want to be too afraid, and we might not want to pander to our cheapest customers because those are the customers that give us the most grief. Those are the ones that give us the 1-star reviews when we knocked it out of the park. So I don't know, Anthony. I'm saying raise your rates to cover your insurance cost improve your SEO at the same time, and I bet you're going to be fine, but you're not a charitable organization that should be eating the cost of the way the world is running right now. And I am still paying $28 for a freaking pizza. It's not right, but I want the pizza, so I'm paying the $28. So I'm experiencing that from the consumer side and the business side. People will use us if they like us. And I don't know that we should be so worried about pricing ourselves out. Anyway, that's my mini message, pastor message here. Any feedback, any contradictions to what I said? Any amens?
Amen to that.
Go ahead, Todd.
We raised our rates at the first of the year somewhat significantly with the same fears as every other time. And all we found is we did a similar number of calls to the prior year, but for 10% more revenue.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but it's really weird, right, Todd? Every single, like 19 times this has happened to me. I keep getting afraid, but maybe that's good though. Maybe, like don't want to put your hand in the fire. You know what's going to happen if you put your, so maybe that instinctive fear should always be there so that we don't do crazy things and have all my techs dressed as clowns or something like that. We should have fear and worry, but be brave and step out in the raging waters there.
Our service call started at $9.95 in 1988. So we've been through it a few times. Our base
Yes.
service calls up to 150.
How many times a year does anybody change it? You review it annually? Because obviously you don't want to be doing this every month. That would be really crazy. Just for staff alone trying to keep up with the changes. They'd start thinking of you as like, my God, is there any consistency here? Personally, I tend to review it I review it every month. Obviously, I'm looking at it, but I tend to only change it once a year. With like a for January 1 type of launch. It might be a July 1, but I will pick a quarter, and staff, they know it's coming for a month before it goes down.
As long as you're currently charging customers, like we use Blue Book. So if the price of the part goes up $15 on February 1st, the customer's paying the $15 increase. But if you're somebody who's got your prices memorized in your head and you're not checking and updating them, you could find yourself in a little bit of trouble before the end of the year, or at least lost a lot of opportunity for net profit. So just make sure that those things that the parts cost is being charged properly on every single job for sure.
Yeah, and so for clarity, in our situation, we don't commingle the charges. It's not one flat rate. In the fine state of the People's Republic of Illinois, I would be audited in about 30 seconds if I was to say it's $350 for the job, because the fine folks at the Illinois Department of Revenue want their cut of that sales. And here, merchandise is taxed, labor is not. So it's not like it's all one thing, right? So we don't itemize that. I'm telling you, they would be breathing down our neck and forget it, So in my situation, we are aware. I mean, it can change daily, frankly. Heck, it even changes on vendor. Is it Sundberg? Is it automatic? Is it Marcone? Is it, whatever? You're going to get different pricing across whatever the source is, right? So my structure, I guess, kind of has that built in. But your point is well put, Doug, is that anybody that is doing that bulk, that is something you could absolutely get blindsided on, as well as shipping costs, by the way. Shipping costs are sneaking up on you. And in some respects, they've doubled. And you might not know it, I get far away from that stuff because I have a fine team that takes care of it, and I don't want to get in the middle of it. And next thing I know is that, what do you mean it doubled? It doubled. It went from like $9 a unit to like 19, like with the same vendor. And they just shrug their shoulders, like, oh gee, man. So that'll sneak up on you.
So I think we've talked about insurance, we talked about our P&L, and I mean we could transition into pricing structure here or slow season. Let's go into pricing structure. Who brought the pricing structure question up? Got to speak up because that's a broad topic. I didn't. Me in Iowa, Ruth. That's you, Ruth. Are you able to kind of ask a question about pricing structure for us? I'll come back to you on that. Let's go into slow season. You guys have any tips or tricks? How do you survive in the slow season? Of course, what we got to do is maintain enough revenue to cover cost of doing business in our slow season, and then hope and pray that it's nice and busy and that we make up our profit on those months. You also could be profitable in the slow season too. So what are you guys doing for that?
Nothing. Crickets.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I'm no genius.
Trying, I would say
ahead.
trying different marketing strategies.
Mhm.
Google is obviously the god of marketing, so you're sort of through Google, the word of handing out as much cards as you can. I would say yard signs, even if you can possibly do that.
Mhm.
That's all I
Yeah.
can do right now.
Yeah, you know something? I remember it was Sears Service Live or something. They had like a referral side business, and I was like, and they were seeking me out. This is a few years ago in going into the slow season, and I was like, there you go. I don't need to take as much Tums. I'm going to get this Service Live thing. It's going to cost me a little bit more than Google, but I'll get these extra leads. Guess what? When Service Live was slow, so was I. So I feel like adding new vendors or lead opportunities doesn't tend to fill in the gaps like we're hoping for. So now it really, in my opinion, and again, getting back on the soapbox here, it really comes down to reaching out to your existing customers and saying, hey, and we like to do this, by the way, be really transparent and authentic. Send a really cool looking email that says, you know what, we're really slow right now, which means that we have a way where we want to do something special for you at a great price. Like, let them know, hey, man, this is a good price because I'm trying to keep, one year we're trying to keep our techs busy. So for this price, we're going to come out and do an inspection and maintenance on all your products and give you a free service plan for 1 year. And that helps fill in the cracks of needing an extra few calls a day to keep your guys busy. But what it really comes down to is coaching and quality of service. How many of us have our technicians getting into the grind through the summer of hitting the calls, hitting the calls, hitting the calls? We're booking out kind of far. We see our cancellation rate is rising. We add extra calls maybe, and we get into this grind of hitting them hard and fast. Probably by the fourth quarter, the middle of the fourth quarter, you got to start prepping your team to say, all right, guys, it's probably coming. Let's slow down. We should do this all year long anyway, but let's slow down and do quality over quantity. Think about it like this, Technician A. I'm going to give you 6 to 8 calls a day. And so why don't you just assume you have an hour in each house? And ask about other appliances. This is the time to knock it out of the park. And maybe create some incentives. If you add on appliances in a house, you're going to get more commission, but I'm also going to either enter you into this competition as a ticket or one more opportunity to win the big screen TV, the 2-day cruise out of New York, whatever. So you kind of got to inspire them to slow down because you're going to get done by 1 o'clock and your pay is not going to be that great because you only had 5 calls that day. You didn't get your 8. You only had 4 calls that day. Slow down, knock it out of the park. That's kind of what we do here. I'm not saying we've got it figured out because the grouchiest people on the entire earth are appliance repair technicians. So it is hard, but it's a relational thing. What are you guys doing in the slow season? What's your mindset? What do you do to get
So
your
I,
technicians to maximize opportunity?
I motivate people to take vacations now. This is the month to take a vacation.
Yep. Yep.
But what I did is I actually I'm you know because you're in a BNI, so I'm in a BNI for about 4 years. So I
Mhm.
decided to tell my guy I'll pay you to go to the BNI every morning, every
Yeah.
Wednesday, whatever. And I started to become a I don't know. I took a tour and different BNIs. I'm trying to introduce myself in them. I was gonna maybe join a second one, but in reality, I'm trying to put my name out there. But I'm already a member. Might as well go, maybe even sub for other people in different chapters, so I can get my name out there.
And so you're using an employee, you're giving them a chance to be the ambassador of your company, to sit in the seat of not just taking care of that one customer at a time, but giving them a chance to market your culture. I love that. And you know, and then you're over there marketing in other BNI chapters, getting the name out in there, and so you're bringing in new customers and making connections outside of that. That is great, right? Paying someone to do delegating and paying someone, but you're also setting them up to be one of your ambassadors. I love it, Moses. That's a great idea. Anything else? What are you guys doing?
Well, can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Hello?
Ivan. Yep.
Hi guys, Ivan from Houston here. Well, slow season, last 3 months, I guess. We're mostly focused on human resources, so we fired all the slackers.
Yeah.
So highest performing technicians have enough on their plate, and
Yep.
we hired and trained mostly all these 3 months. And we also visited ASTI and MSA. That's what we do.
Yeah. I love that, Ivan. You're building your team, getting it ready for the summer. Yep, that's a great time to work on that. Someone in the chat put training. This is a great time for internal customized training, or manufacturers throw out a lot of training opportunities, or you can send them to Chicago or to New Jersey or to Dallas for some free factory training. You're going to pay them probably to do that. So that is a great time to sharpen the iron on that. I love it. Someone asked what BNI is, Business Networking International. It's a networking group to make connections and find referral partners. Real estate people, mortgage people, property managers, any type of business can join a group, and what they're looking for are referral partners that they can trust and know. And so BNI, you're meeting once a week with these people, and you're developing relationships. And if you have a great business and you have these one-to-one meetings with the realtor, with the mortgage person, with the whoever, the local whatever business, they're going to then refer you their customers to you. And
Electricians,
so
plumbers, I mean, all the stuff
yeah,
that are in your trade that would refer you, because a plumber doesn't do dishwashers, but it's leaking water from the dishwasher. That's not my job. An electrician, you know what I mean? The oven's not turning. Apparently, it's something in the oven. It's not the electric. So you refer them, and they refer you.
that's right. That's right. And now you, Moses, can find some of the greatest plumbers and electricians. Those are those crossover home services when they call us and it's not us, it's them. You now have a great referral partner to send over to, and your customers don't forget that when you send a world-class electrician to the house to solve the dishwasher with no power. And so BNI is definitely a great way to develop relationships in the business community and find referrals. In the slow
Um,
season, all this stuff helps, right?
Something I got when I mentioned doing like service agreements and
Yeah.
memberships, is just kind of piggybacking. The whole reason for that was for the slow season, and then obviously create more revenue for the business as well. Um, so something that we're doing is we are offering like so priority scheduling, zero cost on any labor, parts, etc. No service call fee. It's just a copay every time we're out on site, and the
Mhm.
copay is more so to prevent like ghost problems that we're chasing. Um, and so that way they have some skin in the game. And then we did a low monthly. Um, and when I was looking at like our lifetime value to customer acquisition cost, the ratio, I think it was 3 or 4x the multiple. And so we are making more money on it, but it's still budgetary for the customer because I think we only have to charge 39 a month. And then we do like a 75 copay.
Yeah.
So it's beneficial from the numbers perspective. And so, because my issue is this industry that it's difficult during the slow season because we're so response based. You can't just call someone and say, "Hey, is your fridge broke?"
Mm.
And so, just trying to think of ways that I can actively reach out, and then memberships or maintenance agreements was one of those ways I was thinking to do that.
Yeah, it's very cool, Tyler, because you and I talked and had a cool Zoom call together. You know your numbers really well, and that's exciting. So I look forward to you as you're rolling this thing out, because you're so always willing to share too. You're kind of curious about how these service plans might affect and help maintain through the slow season as well, right, Tyler?
Yeah, because like there's the bigger home warranties. One of the massive ones is American Home Shield, but because it would have to fall under more of an insurance-based thing. And so if I can do like a third or fourth of the cost of them, but only cover the appliances, I'm not sure yet how the market will respond. When I initially rolled it out, I did it for 69 a month with free service calls, no copays at all. And I had 3 people sign up on it. One, it was like a higher end luxury type home. Another was like normal middle class, and the other was kind of poor. And they've all 3 stuck on for at least 24 months now.
Wow, good. That's great. That's great. Anyone have any experience or questions about service plans, specifically maybe Tyler's?
Yeah, take us through how he pitches it and how he prices it, and what do they get for what they're paying for?
Let me see. Let me just pull it up.
While you're pulling it up, something that I was thinking about recently, that's kind of changed, I think, is what hasn't changed is our competition for at least 15 years now is Home Depot and Lowe's, and the customer just going and buying a new appliance instead of keeping it for 15 to 25 years. So like Thanksgiving time. Thanksgiving time used to be an incredibly busy time of year, emergency service calls, extra bake elements and igniters on the truck and overnighting thermostats and control boards. That doesn't happen anymore because I feel like when the stove is starting to break down, some of these people, their or percentage of them, their first choice is just to go down on Black Friday, which now starts in August or something, and they're buying the new stove then and not reaching out to us. So what Tyler and other people I think are doing in service plans is you're locking the customer in. You're locking them in even against our competition, which is buying a new product. And that can help us sustain our industry a bit longer. So go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So along with that, this week I looked at the stats and how many households in America on average have like a home warranty type plan. And it was like 30 to 40%. And it was a $6 or $7 billion industry, and it has an annual growth rate of like 6.5%. So it's growing and it's pretty massive, and a lot of people have it. And so what we do is priority scheduling, no labor, 100% free parts, and then like perceived value as well, like automatic updates and notifications with them. But then we also do free appliance installations with it as well, even if they don't buy the appliance from us. And then Anthony, with the free parts, so we still get billed from our distributor on the parts. We just don't pass that along to the customer because we're already collecting on the monthly payments.
That's how you got to your $69 or $39. You've got to figure out the percentage of people that are going to have a breakdown and know your numbers. Tyler, you're such a geek with the numbers. It frustrates the hell out of me because I quickly become underwater and it can't follow you much longer. But how long did it take you to be able to track and flow and be profitable? How did you like how long did it take for you to dip your toe in that water and know this is the price point that it needs to be because this percentage of subscribers are going to call and how long did it take for you to know those numbers and get it right?
Pulling the numbers, as long as I felt comfortable pulling the accurate reports that I was looking at, and which was like profit loss, number of invoices, stuff like that. And then in order to keep the numbers consistent, since I was going off number of invoices, I also went off of the amount invoiced, so I can have a consistent average price per invoice.
Yep.
And then I looked at how much does it cost to actually deliver on each invoice. So how I found that was my cost of goods, tech, payroll, shipping costs, any repair maintenance on the vehicles, gas, job supplies, sales tax, anything that goes into like getting the technician on site and doing their work.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, I looked at the cost to acquire a customer, which involves like any dues or subscriptions for my business software, education, training stuff, advertising, marketing, insurance, office staff, payroll, that kind of stuff. And so once I had that, then I looked at customers' data of like what's the average like purchase frequency per customer across a year. And I found that it was roughly like 1.03 times when I separated residential from commercial. Residential was a 1.03. And so I knew if they were going to call me roughly that, and then I padded that number a little bit. And I said, okay, what if they call me 1.5 times? Just to be on the safe side. And then I put my profit on top of that padded number.
There you go. That's it right there. You put your profit on top of that, and then you sell that price, right?
Yeah.
So did you
Yeah.
need or do you think that people will need a certain amount of cash flow to float it before it begins to generate revenue? Or did you find that the frequency of breakdown of people signing up was low enough that you could do this without having money in the bank? As the question goes, what about the really expensive part, right? Our brain always goes to that worst case scenario. And usually the worst case scenario doesn't always happen very often. But how did you need cash flow, Tyler, to float this until it began to flow?
No.
Okay.
No, because like we do flat rate labor with Blue Book as well. And so we were still doing all our normal service calls as we were selling these.
I
And
love it.
so income didn't really get affected. But the way the number worked out, I think with our current flat rate model, loan to value to CAC is about 7.0. So every dollar I spend to get the customer, I get 7 back. And then with the plan, it went up to like 15 to 1, the 39 a month with the 75 copay. And then we did a separate plan for like luxury appliances, or if they have 6 or more appliances in the home. And that's 59 a month with a 75 copay as well. And that brings LTV to CAC to like 23.7 to 1. And so it really significantly increases. Like it's a multiple increase of 2x or 3.5x per customer. So that's why I'm okay covering the part costs. And if the really expensive part happens, we're still in the green on the contracts.
Yeah.
So you're in the home warranty business now.
That's what I'm thinking. Like I'm trying not to go too far to the side from the niche of appliance repair. I don't want to do like power washing or something where it just doesn't fit. And this is the best fit I could find while still accessing our current customer base.
Well, man,
Well,
congrats.
assuming-
That's a heavy lifting for finance. That kudos to you.
Yeah. But
Well, I
once you
mean-
run the numbers though, you know the numbers. And then you could just track the stats on the back end of how many you're selling, etc. It's just doing all that front end work to find the price points.
I mean, if your numbers are even close to be accurate, right? Because you're doing research out there and we know how the
Yep.
internet works, but 30 to 40% of our potential clients, if 30% of them, 3 out of 10 are in favor of buying a service plan, to me, that's a reasonable, that's a decent sized market that you would want to do that front end research and energy and input to get a return on your investment. A $6 billion a year revenue stream, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the
The
disposability factor, and we know all our customers complain about the whole process of shopping, buying, getting it installed, terrible subcontractors ripping up the floor, not finding appliances that match the rest of the kitchen that's only 6 years old. The handles are different now. You know, all these things. What a great solution, having the peace of mind of not having to pay for the repairs. I like it.
Yeah, another thing with that, with the 30-40%, like the market share size, if the whole market, if you shoot conservative on that in the whole market, like I think in Sioux City, we have 80,000 people. If I take 30% of that, that's 24K, or 80,000 households. That's 24,000 households. American Home Shield and all the others are going to have a chunk of that. But if I get just 10% of that market, on my service plan, it's almost a double in my top line revenue just in Sioux City.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, the cost of acquisition of a new customer is not cheap. It really isn't. And when you find a great customer, you got to keep them. You got to lock them in. And so having even, and I'm assuming $69 a month or 39, that's on one appliance, you are now in relationship with that customer and they still have other appliances in their home and you're a trusted vendor for them.
So
and you lock that customer in, right?
that 39 covers all the appliances in the home.
Stop it. Stop it, Tyler. Sign me up. I want that right now for my house.
Yeah, is it available in Texas?
Yeah, you can make it as long as you can make it make sense. You can sell it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a couple guys in our community that are doing this besides Tyler, and they've got it worked out. Any other questions or comments about service plans or insurance?
Well, one thing that you were touching on, it's kind of deviating a little bit, but we've bounced around acquisition costs a little bit. We're all saying that. We're saying that like we all know it, right? So could we maybe expand for those of us that don't know the numbers? How are you determining your acquisition costs? Because that is a hidden expenditure and it can be astronomical when you actually drill down. So to the group would be, okay, how do you find the acquisition costs? What do you do to get to it? How do you get those numbers? It's sort of the basic methodology so that we're all as a group kind of on the same page.
Yeah. Anybody want to chime in before James? Because I know James knows this topic pretty well. Anyone want to share how you've determined your acquisition costs? James, why don't you start us off? What are some
Come
of the
on,
key-
guys. There can't be any crickets here. Jesus.
Go ahead, James. List them like a bullet point. What are the things we got to look for to figure that cost out?
Well, obviously you start with the assumption you don't have that client, right? So how do you get new clients? You got to look at all your marketing efforts to acquire them. And what you're going to, in simple form, you're going to add up all those numbers and divide it by the number of new clients you have. You, of course, have to extract the existing clients. You can't count them in it. But how much do you spend in marketing and advertising and AdWords and the whole anything that you're spending in terms of marketing expenditure, and then you would divide that by the number of new clients that aren't in your system. That's the short version of it. And I don't know if anybody wants to expand or drill down on that. Tyler or Todd, you would probably really have the numbers on that in terms of detail.
My thought, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think to get it like completely catered, you got to just look at the individual business.
What do you mean?
I guess because there's some costs that some businesses do that others don't.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
see what you mean.
so, yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. To clarify, you mean look at your own numbers within your own business as to what those expenditures are, and of course they can be different. Like for example, I'm in residential, I'm in commercial, and I'm in biomedical. So acquisition costs are different depending on my target audience, I guess would be one way to phrase it. But things can get out of control if you're not looking at that. And I was watching Case in Point, and take this is sort of a not that you guys are my priests, but I'll make a confession here. Some of my expenditures on Sub-Zero for the cost per click had gotten out of control. And I can tell you that they probably approached 180 a call. And if you don't watch that, you're like, whoa, well, what, how did that happen? It doesn't make any sense, right? But it can happen if you're not paying attention to what's going on. And oftentimes you're talking about the slow, and this ties into the slow period. You wonder, why are we slow? What's going on? And first quarter or 1Q tends to be a financial quarter where you really do your analysis. You're doing your post analysis of what happened, in the rearview mirror, and then you make your projections and you set up your projection budgets moving forward. And those projection budgets should also include the cash flow issues, like the first quarter when you're slow, right? So you want to park that somewhere. But when you start looking at that, you drill down, you're like, oh my God, the things that got past you are just shocking. Like, why did I do that? But again, point of confession, I go back being, born during the Jurassic period, we had all the yellow pages. And the yellow pages was, it's nothing but a brick that holds the door open. But guys, for those of you who don't know, back in that era, we could spend $30,000 a month in yellow page advertising to cover a territory like mine, which is just, you think of that, that's insane. But you could not function in like about the 70s and the 80s and early 90s. You had to be in those doggone yellow pages, and those guys just would bleed you dry. I mean, the funny thing is, at least attorneys got it worse than we did. So there's some recompense in that. But yeah, when you look at the details, and that's why I was kind of calling out Todd and Tyler, because these are your detail guys, and you might share some insight into that analysis for those that don't drill down that far. Because in many respects, we can get inside baseball, way inside baseball, but we need to get way inside baseball. We don't need to share it with our staff, but we need to share it with ourselves and become aware of it. That's sort of a process of self-awareness.
What do you got, Todd?
I'll just throw out there that I have never been a budgeter. I've tried. I have failed a million times. If I cut a budget for something personally or professionally, I'm going to spend double that. And so I've always just tried to aggressively grow revenue and then have like a real strong knee-jerk reaction and cut costs when things feel tight. Probably not the advised way. We do track, like cost per conversion and stuff like that pretty well, but it, like what are our real biggest expenses? It's always people, and that's a very challenging cost to reduce effectively. So we usually go strongly toward, all right, how can we grow revenue? Because we have always been terrible at cutting costs. I think over half of our expenses and overhead as a business is payroll. And it's awful.
You might be better than you think, Todd, about it, because really in this world of marketing, right, making the phone ring, in that there should be some marketing KPIs, and you already mentioned one of them. It's like, so you're paying money for people to find you, click you, call you. if you've got a terrible CSR, or if you don't have a CSR and you're having people leaving voicemails, if your conversion rate to booking is terrible, that's just letting money leak out of the side of your ship. So what KPI measurements should you be tracking? You probably would want to track, you know, how long people are on hold for, how abandoned calls, right? Converted calls, in your script. Do you have a great phone script? When the person, you know, cuts you off and says, just tell me how much it is to come out. If you answer that question, they go, well, that seems like a lot. Have a good day. Your CSR failed. And so this whole thing that we do is mainly sales. From the first moment that they look at our website and say, you know what, I'm going to give them a call. We don't give free service diagnostics out, right? Maybe some of you guys do. Maybe Tyler will one day. But free diagnostics, we don't do anything for free. So that means they think their appliance could be or should be fixed. And they're willing to spend some money. So you got to have a real powerful script. You got to impress them and wow them. You got to convert them. You can't make them wait on for days. Can't do that either, guys. So the hire staff, fire the slackers, and roll into the summer. I'm going to throw this out as a challenge. If you can get your budget down, this is the time of year to grow your staff so that you're not booked out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 days in the summer, because those people will not wait for you. Yes, they will. No, some of them will, but most of them won't, and they'll go somewhere else. And so what an opportunity, or maybe they don't have a choice, but the sooner you get more techs on the road in June, July, August, September, that is your revenue stream knocked out of the park. So those marketing KPI metrics of conversion, scripting, each CSR probably should have, in my opinion, should be on some sort of KPI of conversion. And we use an overseas staff. So I've got some people with accents. The Filipino culture, not necessarily interested in being kind, friendly, and connective. But we work really hard to make them understand that's their most important thing, is to get excited to be talking to that customer, because you're going to have to throw in a couple statements before they decide to get cold feet. Yeah, it seems kind of high. Well, before you go, I want you to know a couple things. We've been in business since 1961, and we give you a 5-year part warranty. Or if we can't diagnose this thing properly, we're going to give you all your money back. All right, so just keep that in mind. You know what? Let's go. Schedule this thing up. When can you get out? Tomorrow. How about tomorrow? That's great. And you've locked them in. So it's really important that your staff is doing the best they can with all that money you're spending on marketing in. So, all right. Sorry, another mini sermon there. All right. We only have I have no more minutes left. So we talked about today insurance, service agreements, slow season, price structuring. Yeah. And so I feel like we had a great meeting today. I really appreciate all your input, screens on, your investment in this. Remember, UASA is a nonprofit organization, and our job is to serve you all as members and bring in and also keep relationships strong with the manufacturers, with vendors. We didn't get to talk about service desk today, but come on in next laundry room, and maybe we can talk about it there, because there's a lot of service desk customers. It's a chance for us to network, communicate, educate, get educated together, share ideas. And you guys did a great job today, and I'm very grateful for all of you coming in. Our next laundry room is in 2 weeks, and we'll see you guys. Oh, by the way, ASTI, go to the website and check it out. I think that the price is going to start to go up as we get closer to ASTI. So the early bird rate, I think, is still on the website. And I believe we're in Kansas City. I don't know what state, because why would you put Kansas Cities in multiple states? I don't understand, but check our website there, and we'll see you guys then. Wendy, what state is
It's in Missouri.
it's in Missouri, but there's one in Kansas as well, right?
There is one, but we're in the Kansas City where the Chiefs are, you know,
Oh,
but I am a Floridian, so I'm not gonna say I have allegiance to anyone
I got you.
in the
I
state of
got you.
Missouri.
Yes.
But we are in Kansas City in January, the last week of January. And we are excited. We're gonna have some really neat stuff happen next year, but hopefully we'll have a laundry room to talk about that in a few weeks
Yes.
and all kinds of new stuff. But yes, the price is probably going up. Here's your sign. The price is probably going up. So
We've checked our cost of doing business, just
We
like our
have.
businesses, and we're recognizing that if we're going to do something excellent, we have to make sure that we're covering our costs and providing great stuff. So yeah, take a look at UASA's website, and if you haven't signed up yet for ASTI, please go and do that.
All right.
Anything else? I think we're good, right?
all right. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.